Hi, my name is Asteri Lorenzo and I am making this video for all my Dominican Americans that say they're not black. But also for all the people that get mad when Dominicans say they're not black. Let's do it. To be honest, when it came to racial tensions, I wasn't very vocal about it because I hadn't personally experienced racism in America, and therefore I felt like I didn't have anything to say to the situation. However, God has been really showing me that I do have a voice in this matter, and last Monday I used my voice, which not only speaks English but also Spanish, and made a video to calling out all my Hispanics to rally up behind the black community during this time. Then I began to see and read all these posts about Dominicans due to an incident that occurred in New York where a group of black Dominicans can be seen chasing a group of African Americans out of their side of town. This caused a huge outcry from many Dominicans and blacks that led to me making this video, because as I read through the comments from fellow Dominicans, I realized that I may not have had experienced racism in America, but I have in fact been surrounded by it all my life. For example, my older brother has always been complimented and adored for his lighter skin and green eyes, as have some of my cousins from both sides of my family that have light skin and colored eyes. There have been comments that my dad got together with my mom to fix his family lineage, and that he ended up messing up my mom's because he's a black Dominican and my mom's a white Dominican with green eyes. I can go back to 1501 with this, when the first African slaves landed in Hispaniola, modern day Haiti and Dominican Republic. I can tell you how even back in the late 1700s, the settlers that were a mixture of Tainos, African, and Canary Guanches looked at the French colony that is now Haiti and still proclaimed their European side above everything else, saying, and I quote, "It does not matter if the French are richer than us, we are still the true inheritors of this island. In our veins runs the blood of the heroic conquistadores who won this island of ours through swords and blood." I can also take you to the 1800s, the start of which saw Haiti in control of the entire island of Hispaniola, which led to the Dominican independence, which gave birth to the first dictator of the Dominican Republic, Pedro Santana. A little bit about Pedro Santana is that he used the ever-present threat of Haitian invasion to remain in power, a fear that became true years later in 1849 and saw the Dominican side of the island once again fighting against Haiti. The tension between the two countries became even more intense when Haitian President Fabre Jefferd refused to support the Dominican independence movement from Spain in the 1860s. And Pedro Santana's fear of a Haitian invasion is still alive in the minds of many Dominicans today, leading towards racism towards Haitians. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just giving you some background context. I can really go into details about all of that, but I'll just take us to the mid-1930s, the time of President Trujillo. And I say that with air quotes because he was actually a dictator that ruled over the Dominican Republic for 31 years, from both the front seat and behind the scenes. Background on Trujillo. His picture had to be inside every household in the Dominican Republic. Citizens were pressured to join the sole political party, the Dominican Party, which got established after Trujillo became president, and they had to carry a membership card, a lack of which could lead to your arrest. Dominicans were also required to carry an identification card on them along with a good conduct pass. Anyone who opposed Trujillo ended up dead. It was a time when you didn't know who your friends were. It was a time of two stories. For some people, it was the greatest time of the country history, and with all due cause because it was the richest time of Dominican history as well. To others, it was the worst years of our country's history due to deep corruption. Trujillo started a whole military, literally, out of Dominican people, and he used this army to kill his opposers, which also, side note, he allowed a whole other party to come up just so that he knew who was opposing him, and he killed them. That was the era of Trujillo. But he didn't just stop there. No. Trujillo renamed the city of Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, after himself, calling it Ciudad Trujillo. And he renamed the Pico Duarte, which was named after one of the founding fathers of the Dominican Republic, Juan Pablo Duarte, after himself, calling it Pico Trujillo. He also erected over 1,800 statues of himself all over the Dominican Republic, and churches were required to say the slogan, Dios en el cielo, Trujillo en la tierra, which translates to God in heaven, Trujillo on earth. And eventually, that got switched around to put Trujillo first. It was this precedent that heightened the whole anti-Haitian movement in the Dominican Republic, ordering the massacre of about 38,000 Haitians in October 1937. Just like Santana, Trujillo used the fear of Haitian invasion to excuse his actions, when in fact, the Haitians have moved to the areas near the border in search of easier trade and a better life, which is why everybody immigrates. Unfortunately, these trades wouldn't be able to be taxed, which is why Trujillo murdered the Haitians. It's all about the taxes. During World War II, Trujillo allowed many Jews to come to the island, along with many Europeans, to promote his policy of blanquismo, which sought to add more light-skinned individuals to the Dominican population to eventually eradicate all black Dominicans, leaving behind only white Dominicans. Trujillo died in 1961, 6 years before my dad was born, 8 years before my mom was born, both of which are amongst the youngest in the household of more than 5 children. Meaning that their oldest siblings grew up while Trujillo was alive. Meaning that my grandparents were alive and growing up during the height of Trujillo's era. Meaning that the racial belief system Trujillo wanted to install inside the minds of the Dominicans was placed within my grandparents and passed down to their children. And considering I have cousins that are the same age as my parents, the belief system of the lighter you are, the better, the smoother your hair, the better, was all around me. This is the same belief system that all Dominicans grew up with, which is why so many are quick to shut down their African side. This is why they're more quick to point at Haitians and say they're the Africans than point at themselves. This history is one that unfortunately not many Dominican Americans know, because chances are no one taught it to them. And if they were taught, the African side is more likely to be a "there were African slaves" comment than the proclamation of African ancestry. By no means is that an excuse for any racial comments or spurring hate. That is not why I made this video. I am not condoning the behavior of this, for lack of a better word, ignorant Dominicans, Americans that don't know their history. My hope is that my Dominican brethren wake up and acknowledge their African ancestry. After all, the first slaves recorded in history arriving from Africa landed in our country. We can't say we're not Africans. We have such a rich history, so much to offer the world. Dominicans, let's not taint it by blurring out half of our history, if not all of our history. We are not just Europeans. We are a mixed culture. We are Taino, we are European, and we are African. And it is that African blood that, despite how light-skinned you are, makes you black. To the African American community, on behalf of the ignorant Dominicans out there that have done wrong by you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for our racial slurs. I am sorry that we can't see our own skin color and that we have negated our own ancestors. I am sorry for how our words and our actions have made you feel. And I am sorry that our behavior has made you feel like you can't count on us. I hope this video gave you some new understanding, and I hope that you too would seek to understand where others are coming from when they say whatever they say to you. I genuinely believe that understanding comes from all sides, and that it is when we have the awareness that comes with the knowledge of the people around us that we can appreciate their support for us. I can't remove your personal experiences with people, but I do request that just as you ask us to stop putting blacks in one box, you also stop putting other people in one box. Not all Dominicans hate blacks, and not all Latinos hate blacks. If you don't believe my words, look it up on Instagram. You'll see plenty of posts of Dominicans supporting Black Lives Matter, Latinos supporting Black Lives Matter, Dominicans and Haitians gathered together in New York to protest for Black Lives Matter. I just told you the history, and yet you guys, because we care for you guys, we have joined forces and we are fighting with you. So don't put us in one box. Ultimately, we were all created in God's image. So let's love our neighbors as we love ourselves, for this is the second greatest commandment. And if we want change, if we as people, not just black people, but Dominicans, all Latinos, all whites, all Asians, Europeans, everywhere, everyone, if we want change, we must all start walking in it. Thank you for watching, and God bless.